Picture this, it is Friday afternoon. Direct deposit just hit your account. You check the number, nod, maybe treat yourself to dinner. And next month you will do the exact same thing. And the month after that. And 10 years from now, you will look back and realize that steady, reliable paycheck was quietly draining your net worth the entire time. It's not a metaphor. A 2019 study from the Federal Reserve found that 78% of full-time American workers live paycheck to paycheck, not minimum wage workers, full-time salaried professionals. Your financial advisor will tell you to negotiate a higher salary. Your parents will tell you to find a stable job with benefits. LinkedIn will celebrate your new offer letter, but the research says something that none of them want to hear. A salary, by design, is not a wealth-building tool. It is a wealth-capping tool. It does not lift you up, it pins you in place. This is not self-help fluff. This is behavioral economics. And by the end of this video, you are going to see the exact structural trap hiding inside your paycheck, and the 3 moves that let you escape it before your next pay cycle ends. Most people think of income like a river. Work harder, the river gets wider, more money flows in. Simple, but income does not work like a river, it works like a treadmill. You can run faster, sure. Your legs are moving, your heart is pounding, you feel the effort, but the floor beneath you is matching your speed. You are not going anywhere. Here is why. Every time your salary rises, 3 invisible forces rise with it: lifestyle inflation, a higher tax bracket, and what economists call hedonic adaptation, which is a fancy way of saying your brain gets bored with the new number in about 90 days. So you spend more, you owe more, and you feel exactly the same. The treadmill speeds up, and you sprint harder to stay in the same spot. The thesis is simple. A salary pays your bills, it almost never builds your wealth, and the system is designed that way on purpose. River versus treadmill metaphor replaces the default mental model with a sticky visual. Competitor used staircase versus obstacle course. This follows the same pattern. This idea has a name in economics. It is called the Hedonic Treadmill, formerly studied by psychologists Philip Brickman and Golden Campbell in 1971. They wanted to answer a brutal question: does more money make people happier? So they studied lottery winners. The answer crushed every assumption. Within months of winning, lottery recipients reported happiness levels nearly identical to their pre-winning baseline. The initial spike collapsed. Their brains recalibrated and the new wealth felt normal. Brickman and Campbell called it hedonic adaptation, the psychological mechanism that resets your emotional baseline no matter how much your circumstances improve. Now apply that to your salary. You get a 15% raise, euphoria, you feel rich for exactly 6 weeks. Then you upgrade your apartment, your car payment adjusts, you start eating out more, and by month 3 the raise has evaporated into your lifestyle. You are back to checking your balance before the next paycheck. Meet Priya, a 29-year-old marketing manager at a SaaS company in Toronto. Over 4 years, her salary climbed from $65K to $94K, a 45% increase. Impressive on paper, but when she sat down and calculated her actual savings rate, it had gone from 11% to 8%. She was earning drastically more and keeping drastically less. The treadmill was not theoretical for Priya, she was living on it. Named character Priya, with specific numbers, exploits the competitor's weakness of 0 personal stories. If this were just psychology, you could argue willpower fixes it, but the data says otherwise. A landmark 2018 study by the National Bureau of Economic Research tracked over 18,000 workers across income levels for more than a decade. They measured not just income but net worth, the gap between what people own and what they owe. The finding was devastating. Workers whose income grew primarily through salary increases saw their net worth grow at roughly 1/3 the rate of workers with identical total income who received a meaningful portion through equity, profit sharing, or investment returns. 1/3, same money coming in, radically different wealth going out. Why? The mechanism is elegant and cruel. Salary arrives in predictable, spendable chunks. Your brain categorizes it as money for living. It flows straight into consumption. But a lump equity payout or an investment return arrives irregularly and in a format that feels harder to spend. Your brain categorizes it as money to keep. Behavioral economists call this mental accounting, the systematic tendency to treat identical dollars differently based on where they came from. And here is the counterintuitive part. The study found that people who earned less total income but received it in variable formats often accumulated more wealth than higher-paid salaried workers. Let that sink in. Earning less but keeping more. That is not a mindset trick. That is a structural advantage baked into the format of how you are paid. Let that sink in. Direct address pause. Elegant and cruel, emotional vocabulary missing in competitor. But there is a second force that compounds this problem, and honestly, this one is darker. It is called the Golden Handcuff Effect, and it is where most people's financial futures quietly collapse. As your salary climbs, your fixed obligations climb with it. the nicer apartment, the car lease, the private school consideration, the neighborhood you chose so your commute would be shorter. These are not luxuries to you anymore, they are baseline. You need the salary just to sustain the life the salary created. And now you are trapped. You cannot take a risk on a side project. You cannot leave for a startup with equity upside. You cannot even take 2 months off to think, because the monthly burn rate will eat you alive. The irony is gut-wrenching. The bigger the salary, the less freedom you have. The more you earn, the more you need, and need turns into a cage you built with your own success. Do you see the trap now? Do you see the trap now? Rhetorical question rehooks viewers at the -50% mark. This one is darker, anticipation builder. I wish this were abstract for me. It is not. I watched it destroy someone I cared about. My older cousin Adeel was the family success story. Chartered accountant by 26, six-figure salary by 30, beautiful house in the suburbs. Everyone pointed at him at family dinners and said, "Be like Adeel." By 35, Adeel was terrified. Not broke, terrified. The mortgage was enormous. His wife had stopped working after their second child. His lifestyle required every single dollar of his salary and he hated his job, he once told me. Quietly at a barbecue when no one was listening, "I have not had a creative thought in 3 years. I just survive month to month." He was earning more than 95% of the population and he felt poorer than ever. Now contrast that with Nadia, a designer I met at a conference 2 years ago. She earns about 40% less than Adeel. But at 28, she negotiated a portion of her compensation as equity. She freelances on the side and funnels every dollar of project income into index funds. Her savings rate is 31%. When her company had layoffs last year, she was not panicking. She was calculating how many months she could live off her investments while she explored her next move. Liberated. Same generation, same country, same rough education level, wildly different relationship with money. The difference was not income, it was the structure of that income. So what do you actually do? 3 moves. And look, if you need the salary to survive right now, that is real. These moves work inside a salaried life, not instead of one. Split your raise before you feel it. The next time you get a raise, set up an automatic transfer for at least 70% of the increase into an investment account before your first inflated paycheck lands. You will never miss money you never experienced spending. Behaviorally, you cannot adapt to something you never touched. Create a variable income stream, even a small one. Freelance work, consulting, a digital product, it does not matter the size. What matters is the format. Variable income breaks the money for living mental accounting trap. Your brain will treat it differently, and you will save it at a dramatically higher rate. The data backs this up. Negotiate compensation format, not just amount. When your next review comes, try this line. "I am excited about growth here. I have been thinking about how my compensation is structured. Would the company be open to discussing equity participation or a profit-sharing component alongside my base?" You are not asking for more money. You are asking for the same money in a format that builds wealth instead of funding lifestyle creep. Word-for-word negotiation script, extremely high save share potential. Acknowledges financial necessity. If you need the salary to survive right now, plugs the competitor's empathy gap. The person who restructures their income is not being greedy. They are being strategic. The person who refuses to upgrade their lifestyle with every raise is not cheap. They are building the kind of freedom most people think requires a lottery win. Over a decade, the difference between someone who earns and spends versus someone who earns and structures is not 10%. It is generational. It is the difference between retiring at 45 and retiring at 67, between choosing your work and begging for it. The person who wins the money game long term is not the highest earner. It is the person who understood that how you get paid matters more than how much. If this changed how you think about your next paycheck, subscribe. Every video on this channel is built to replace one broken financial assumption with a framework that actually works.